Remote teams. They can be the most beautiful thing that you've brought into your business or the bane of your existence. And I've really seen the pendulum swing both ways when it comes to online businesses. And as somebody who has worked as an online business manager for the last decade, I have had the privilege of being on the back end and seeing differently structured, different caliber remote teams. And in today's video, I want to share with you the tips and tricks that I have learned over the years of what you can do to successfully grow a remote team. Hey there, I'm Sarah Noked, and I have successfully built my own multi-six-figure service-based support business, and I want to help you do the same. So if this sounds like it is up your alley and you are ready to kick it up a notch as a service support provider, then stick around and don't miss my videos. So building a remote team is so important in this day and age that if you are not focused on leveraging all that comes with having a remote team, then you're really putting yourself at a disadvantage. If you are an online service support provider or an online business owner in general, these tips today that I'm going to be sharing with you are really going to help. Starting with my first tip, which is relationships. And the truth of the matter is in all of the businesses that I've been in, when the business owner, when the OBM, when the key person on the team, the leadership on the team values relationships, then everybody works better. It is so easy to dismiss a relationship with a remote service-based support provider because you're not in the same office. It's not like me and Kelly, my dog, where, I can see what he's doing. I can chill out with him at the water cooler. We can have lunch together. When you are working with remote team members, you are not going to be able to as easily have conversations and have connection. So you actually have to deliberately bake in time to have relationships. And this sounds very strange and it might even feel counterintuitive, but I will tell you, many years ago, I was on a podcast and I was being interviewed by a very high-end coach who had scaled this massive team, and we were talking about systems and all the things I love to talk about. And I said to him, I'm like, what is your secret for making sure that you have a very low team turnover and that your team members are happy? And he said to me, and this has stuck with me all these years, I make an effort every week to have quality time with that individual team member outside of the work agenda. And I thought to myself, oh my, more meetings? Like the last thing that I need in my day is another meeting, right? We want to move things more to email, have less meetings. But the powerful thing about having meetings with team members that aren't really like on the books or agenda written is that you can actually have an open, honest conversation and get to know who that person is. And what I realized about his strategy and his approach, that he was just simply wanting to get to know the person. What do they do on the weekends? How is their family? Are there things that they've noticed inside the business, off the cuff, without an agenda? So what he was sharing with me was so valuable because I was realizing that in these impromptu, casual meetings, he was learning more about his team member and his business than he was in these very scheduled, very sort of stuffy meetings that unfortunately we have all the time as business owners. So make an effort to have relationships with your team members and pencil in time, even if it's not on the books, to have an impromptu weekly or even monthly meeting with your team members so that you can really understand where they are at in their lives, how they feel in your business, where they see their growth. This is so important because team turnover in a remote team is so real. And if a team member feels that you are not, interested in what they're doing, and I can wholeheartedly say that as working on the back end of many businesses over the last decade, if you're not making time for that team member, they're not going to really value or care about your business as much as they should or that they could. So my next tip really has to do with your organization on the back end of your business. And a lot of the times the catch-21 is that you have no systems in your business. So it's very difficult to onboard remote team without systems in your business. And I get that. I get that it can be really difficult. And that's why I'm actually going to leave in the resources below this video my SOP template so that you can actually start to take ownership of the remote team hiring by setting up systems in your business. But I want to tell you why having standard operating procedures is actually the key to low team turnover. And this is because I speak honestly with virtual assistants and graphic designers and online business managers, the rigmarole type of team member that you're probably going to hire if you have an online business. And the truth is that they struggle with their expectations and with your expectations when they don't know how to actually complete the system that they need to complete. So for example, let's say you've hired on Susie as a virtual assistant in your business and she's responsible for managing or taking care of the client care. So maybe she's going into that client care inbox, answering with canned responses, taking certain actions, reporting to certain people. Well, if there's no standard operating procedure and no documentation, and again, check the description for my template, she is going to feel overwhelmed and not know what a clear check of approval is for the task that she's doing. And it is extremely frustrating to be on this end of the business where you don't know really what the expectations are or really what the whole system entails. So what I recommend to my online business management clients that are looking to hire is screencast yourself running through the system. And I also share this as part of that SOP starter kit, but you really need to get more comfortable with being a little bit more open and honest. If it means taking 3 hours to literally spend managing your own client care and then literally walking through that team member or the potential new team member, walking them through that whole system, that is going to pay off in spades when you hire that person and they're like, I'm confident because it's clear what success looks like in this role. If you're not willing to put that time in and you're not willing to bake out systems and standard operating procedures around the recurring tasks that you want to delegate, then you're always going to be in this position where you're going to have confused team members, and confused team members are unhappy team members that eventually leave. So when I hear from clients like, wow, I felt like things were going so well with Susie, and then, she just gave me her 30 days notice and up and left. And then I'm like, well, did Susie really know what she was doing, and were there properly documented systems? And they're like, no. Then I'm like, well, that's why Susie left, because Susie didn't know how to please you as her client and how to make sure that what she was doing was success in her eyes. So when freelancers like myself feel confused, they would rather work with a client that would give them more clarity. Maybe that's not so counterintuitive, but that is actually the cause of the very high turnover in our remote team member environment. Because just like I mentioned in that first point of the relationships, it's not like I can go up to the desk and say, hey, Susie, do you have any questions about client care? No, Susie's going to be in her office alone, working remote with no standard operating procedure, no indication of if this is right or wrong, and she's going to be damn frustrated. Okay, so you don't want frustrated team members. And that's why my next tip is all around having a project management tool. Please, if there's one thing that you hear me say here and now, it's that project management tools are important. They might not be important to you as an online business owner, and that's okay, I get it. A lot of the clients I've worked with over the years in the OBM role have not used the project management tool. In fact, I always, inside of OBM school, we chuckle and we joke that our OBM clients are not using project management tools, but they're for us, the OBM, and the rest of the team. So it could be a virtual assistant, graphic designers, different team members, VAs that are working on the delivery of things. It doesn't matter. The team members on your team are the ones that are using the project management tool. And it's really important to remember that project hygiene and making sure that things are clearly laid out so that the team doesn't get overwhelmed. Because if the team feels overwhelmed and it's not really clear what needs to happen and they don't really at a glance know what their week is going to look like, again, like point 2, it's going to lead to a lot of frustration. So having a project management tool in place is important for a remote team. Maybe not as important for you, but very important to make sure that your remote team kicks off with a bang. And that might mean bringing on a person in your business like an OBM to build out the project management tool, put the recurring tasks in there, and make sure that the standard operating procedures are already starting to come together to take shape if these are things that you don't really look at as your zone of genius. And it's very common to feel like that. Those things are not in your zone of genius, so delegate it to somebody like an online business manager who can. And I'm also going to leave our directory below this video too, because if you're thinking to yourself, hey, Sarah, actually, I do need to hire somebody and I don't really have the skill set of building out SOPs or project management tool, then you're definitely going to want to visit our OBM school directory where we have students from our programs, from our paid programs that are primed and prepped and ready to help you with these exact things. So definitely check out that directory. So my next big tip and mistake to avoid with your remote team is making sure that you have a centralized place to share documents. So I'm a big believer in Google Google Drive. I love Google Drive. I'm also going to leave my tech stack below so you can see all the tools that I use in my own business. But Google Drive is where it's at. It's free. It's friendly. It is collaborative. That is a tool that you want to use to house your documents that you're going to want to share with a virtual team. So, we're not living in an age where I have some sort of system inside my business, or I can, Susie's in my office and Susie can just, log into her computer and she has access to the whole database of all of our company files. No, things don't work like that anymore. You need to really think about migrating all of your files into something like Google Drive, where everything can be neatly organized, collaborative, easy to find, and better yet, easy to share if you bring in that team member with a @sarahnoket.com, for example, business email address. So if you have a business suite with Google Drive, all the better for you. Then any team member that you bring on, it's a really low monthly fee to give them an email address, and then they can log in and log out and create documents that you own as a business owner. And how empowering is that? And they can access things like, and brace yourselves, standard operating procedures in your business. So if you want them to be able to access standard operating procedures, then make it easy by using a collaborative tool like Google Drive or Dropbox. Now, my next big tip is all around the specialness that you bring to the table when you're onboarding that team member. Now, if you are also providing service support in the online space or any kind of business really, then you know that there is a level of attention that you pay when you are onboarding a client. Well, let's apply that same principle to bringing on a team member. You want this team member to feel part of your team. You want them to feel that you really care about bringing them on. So it's really important to have a real plug and play onboarding system that you use every time you onboard a new team member. And it doesn't need to be overcomplicated, but it does need to include simple things like, what is an emergency contact? What are the hours my team member works? How do I pay them? When do they invoice me? When is their birthday, right? So that you can wish them a happy birthday. What are other important things that you need to know about them? Like and I do this with my clients as well, I want to know what their spouse's name is. I want to know what their kid's name is. I want to know what they do on the weekend. And these are important things that I'm going to include in my notes so that I can, relate to my team members in any way, shape, or possible, because the remote does make distance. And I want to be able to make sure that when they are coming into my business, that my team member knows that I have spent a lot of time and energy finding that right team member, and they are the one. So when you're onboarding them with a little bit of pizzazz, that's going to go a long way for, having the trust and the relationship, but also for them being able to approach you if they have questions and feeling comfortable. So make sure to prioritize the onboarding experience that you have. Having those important relationship onboarding experiences is going to go a hell of a long way for you in terms of reducing the chances of team turnover and that new team member leaving before it is the right time. Now, my next tip is all around rewarding your team members. And this is something that we make a concerted effort on in our own business. And that is recognizing merit and recognizing where somebody has really done a good job and rewarding appropriately. And that might mean a bonus. So if you've had a really great launch and you've hit all your financial goals and you've been diligent enough to actually put some goals down on paper, when you meet those goals, it is important for you to reward your team member. It doesn't even need to be a financial reward. It can be just, a pat on the back of hey, you did a really great job. We really appreciate your work. Or maybe there's a public social media post. Like, as an online business manager, there's nothing more lovely than a client going onto their Facebook group or going onto their social media and saying, wow, I work with Sarah Noket and she is such a killer OBM. We just wrapped up a launch and not only did we hit all of our financial goals, but I took a week off when I went to a spa midway through launch. That is such a testament to how much worth you provide as a service-based support provider to your client. And there's nothing more lovely and encouraging than a vote of confidence or a good word or just loving that person up. So please compliment, reward, financial or otherwise, but make sure that that is part of your strategy for keeping that team member working in your business, for ensuring that that team member doesn't go off and work with somebody else when things are just really good. Now, my next tip is all about this notion of company culture. And this notion of company culture is so foreign to us as online service-based support providers. We almost, when we get out of our corporate jobs, let me know in the comments if you can relate. When you leave corporate, you're like, oh, that stuffy, awful corporate culture. I never want to have any of that in my life again. So here's the thing, guys. Now that we're working in the online space, this is our opportunity to set a better company culture. So if you've met the wonderful humans in my business, you know that Tovi is my OBM. She is the one who is responsible for making sure that program delivery goes off without a hitch inside of OBM school. And I know that a lot of you guys know her. You've seen her around. And the truth of the matter is, my company culture is all around being family friendly. Tovi is a mama. I'm a mama, and we are mama bears. And if anything happens to our baby bears, then we are prioritizing that over work. So when Tovi says to me, hey, I gotta run out quick to take my daughter to a doctor's office, or I say to her, hey Tovi, I need to spend some extra time with my son. He's having some issues at school and I wanna take a day off and, go have a day of fun with him. We understand each other because that is baked into the company culture. And it's not just about, having these I think in theory, the company culture, we prioritize motherhood and parenthood and, we wanna, put our children first, but you actually have to walk the walk. You can't just have these things. So we make a concerted effort, and I make a concerted effort to remind myself to, if I'm feeling frustrated that, Tovi's daughter does need to go to a doctor's appointment, I have to remind myself that I built this business because I needed that exact same flexibility in my life, and that is the same sort of flexibility that I want my team members to feel. When you create a company culture that takes into consideration what your team needs, that is, in my opinion, the most amazing thing about having an online business, and the most important thing that you can do to ensure that your team members don't run off with other clients that are having a more flexible team culture or a more understanding vibe. So really think about, what are your priorities and what is nearest and dearest to your heart in terms of the things that you really value in your life and in your business, and make sure that when you find that team member, that they have those same qualities and they are walking that same walk with you. Together, you are going to create a company culture that is unstoppable, and that is going to really result in having remote workers want to work for you because they want to do good by you, because they have the same values and expectations that you have. Now, over the course of this video, I've shared a lot of tips and tricks around what you can do to ensure that your team members don't run off with other clients. And if you enjoyed this video, then you are going to want to head over here next.